And here we are. We have Mondragon currently up 2-1 against Nony in the grand final of the PokerStrategy.com Teamwork with Star League. And once again, thank you so much to PokerStrategy.com, which means that we get $10,000 for first place thanks to them. I mean, not only is this great for the competitors, but for the observers, we know how much is on the line for these players. We know that these are $5,000 games that they're really playing right now. Both of them already have $5,000 because they're in the finals. I mean, looking at Mondragon's split, Mondragon's at the bottom right in the brown Zerg. He actually messed his drones up a lot at the start. He split them, and then he resent them all to one mineral patch, and then split them, and then sent pairs to the same mineral patch. So they got pretty botched up early, and we can actually see over here in Nony's base, Nony's actually ahead a little bit in the mineral count already.
Right, and I just want to reiterate, we've talked about this before, but a lot of players have been playing StarCraft. I mean, particularly these two have been playing StarCraft for years, going on 8 to 10 years. But a lot of the competitors that have gone through even the latter stage, once they get into the round of 16, they say they've never felt the nerves as playing in the TSL. It's kind of the first instance for a lot of these players where you get not only the ridiculous amount of money. I mean, a lot of tournaments that are in foreign StarCraft are only going to be for a few $100s. And you've got the chance to win $10,000 here. So not only the money, but the pressure, and this is a big point for me, of knowing that you're going to get your games casted, analyzed, and there's going to be thousands upon thousands of people watching it. And I know I'll always remember Jianfei's quote from the Razor TSL saying after he went down 2-0, he started to feel like he didn't mention, oh, I'm going to lose $2,500. He said, oh, everyone's going to make fun of me now that I played really well and got 3-0.
Yeah.
So that really is a huge factor in exploiting your nerves in this game.
Yeah, I mean, everything going very standardly for players. Just a 12 hatch from Mondragon. Mondragon now scouting the wrong direction, going up to the top right. But fortunately, his Overlord manages to spot this early expansion going up here for Nony. We see that cannon had to go down because Nony just knows he needs to get a little bit of something up, at least, so that way he doesn't lose any sort of early pool. But one cannon is kind of dangerous. 6 Zerglings do kill one cannon, so he needs to be aware of that. But still, you've been playing against Mondragon thus far, and he's pretty much 12 hatched every game. And doing a lot of 12 hatching, especially in his qualifier rounds, just sticking to a big macro-oriented play.
I was watching that cannon to see if Nony got that probe in time that he could cancel the cannon when he saw the hatchery going up, but he already had 400 minerals at that point, so wisely letting it finish, not paying the cancellation fee. We see the hatchery going up at the top right natural for Mondragon, so kind of tells us that he may be moving into that style of turtling to hive that is oh so popular and oh so strong on this map.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about those nerves you were mentioning earlier. I mean, I think most players are comfortable playing a random opponent on Icy Cup. But then when you start getting higher up and you're playing against the really good ones, you're used to getting a little bit nervous, but you got no big deal. But exactly like you said, the idea that your games are going to be posted and that thousands upon thousands of people are going to download it, people are going to be commenting on it, and those people have never even gotten to D+ before, you're just like, oh man, it's like brutal. And it's really shocking how once you're there in a tournament situation, even like the best opponent in the world you've played against Icy Cup, you're nowhere near as nervous as even if you're playing against a really bad opponent in a major tournament.
And those deep, looks like a little Ling run by here, so he's probably going to get 2 in, but without speed, he's probably not going to be able to do too much. I just wanted to comment on those players who have never got to D+. They are vicious, man. I've seen so many comments of like someone will miss micro at Templar or something. And it's like, oh, these games are D-. It's like, wow, yeah. You have no idea how well these players are playing. I mean, to play at this level is just unreal. So I like this little Zergling run by, just getting in, causing some problems. We see Nony was forced to take his probes off gas. That just delays everything a little bit. So really nice, efficient use of those first couple Zerglings.
Yeah, we see 2 Zealots out right now for Nony. He would ideally like to put those at the ramp, but that probe for Nony is still just circling Mondragon's main, keeping an eye on absolutely everything that's going on in there. The Zerglings are still poking around. It's almost just like the players have visioned each other at this point in time. But Mondragon is unaware of this little sneak Zealot attack that's sliding through the middle of the map, going straight for that top left, and this is going to screw up Mondragon a lot. That's one of the reasons why I dislike early Ling run-ins, unless I can get a lot of Lings in there.
Right.
I'm so used to having my Zerglings outside the front where I can see exactly what's going on. And look at this, Zealot is almost at the top left, and Mondragon has no idea he's actually sending more Zerglings to Nony's front.
Right, so Zerglings speaking of finish, one drone getting taken out, and look at all the mining time that's going to be lost here. Mondragon has 2 Zerglings on the way, or 2 more coming up, but I mean the damage is done. This Zealot forced the drones away, killed 1 drone, and with micro it could possibly, okay, looks like there's not going to be any micro, so that's the end of that. Nony now getting +1 again on his Corsairs, and Robo again. Wow, 3 times in a row. I guess this is his supposed counter to the turtley style when you take another natural, and it can work. But I mean, we saw how dangerous it was. It kind of just hinged on like on a hair last time, so I'm surprised he's so willing to do it again.
Yeah, and I'm still concerned about this placement right now for Mondragon. The top I'm a little bit more comfortable with, but at his base at the right, at that 4 o'clock expansion, I mean that hatch just leaves so much room there. So I mean, I'm curious to see how Mondragon's going to try to wall this off. He might just be intending to creep all the way forward and control his fat bridge, but I'm not so certain.
Yeah, he's doing that same thing he did on Tornado, where he's tucking the creep colony up high, and that's just leaving so much space in the bottom. Typically, what you want to do is just block that front completely up, place a hatchery kind of to the bottom left of the existing one, and then jam Sunkens and Hydralisk dens and whatnot around there. We see the Spire up for Mondragon, so a few Scourge going to be coming out as he adds Sunken Colonies to deal with any sort of Zealot push, but we see that's not coming as Nony has opted to get a Shuttle and Reaver, or excuse me, Reaver coming, Shuttle soon to follow, with Shuttle speed being researched yet again in the Robotics Support Bay.
Yeah, and 2 kills on those Corsairs for Overlords, and a nice cute little Dragoon Zealot attack swinging up to the north. And you know, I don't think 1 Sunken Colony is going to be enough to repel this. Well, I mean, with the runaround time, yeah, and there we go, and another creep colony coming. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Nony to be able to work his way up there. But that sort of a little push out, even if you just move out and pop right back in again, it still messes the Zerg up a little bit. You know, Zerg gets a little surprised. He might make more Zerglings, thinking that a bigger follow-up's coming. Perhaps Mondragon didn't want to build that extra Sunken Colony so early. All sorts of things that I think are great reasons to do those little pushes out. Because again, look, Nony got to pull him all the way back, and nothing was lost.
Take a look at Nony's main at the Stargate. There's no cannon supporting this Stargate, so one of those Corsairs just warped out and ate a Scourge hit instantly. Now he's sending in a Dragoon to try to drive these Scourge back, but with the second Corsair coming, I feel a little nervous. Corsair coming out, eating another Scourge hit, so I would have liked to see a cannon there to help support that, but not a big deal. Corsair gets out with its life. Shuttle is loaded up now with a Zealot, or excuse me, 2 Zealots and a Reaver, and shuttle speed complete, so it looks like Nony is ready to begin the Reaver harassment.
I want everyone to keep that second game in mind, that game on Andromeda, of how that harass went with 5 Corsairs without the +1 upgrade. Because right now we have 6 Corsairs with the +1 upgrade, and again, that's that money number that you really get the chance to push super aggressively. He's moving up here, and there's some Mutas and some Scourge coming out, but those are going to evaporate ultra quickly. And already, we can see how far back all of Mondragon's units are. If you just look at the mini-map, look how far crunched to the right all of that brown is on the mini-map. And a second Stargate going down for Nony. My goodness, he wants to do a lot of harassment.
So it looks like he's committing to Reaver Sarah. It's not kind of the transition, or excuse me, maybe not, as he's adding gateways. So not the traditional Reaver Sarah. When he came in to do this little bit of harassment, Mondragon was in the transition point of moving into Muta Scourge. Looks like he's decided that's not a good idea as he sees the Corsair numbers, and he's not getting any upgrades in the Spire, so probably not going to be seeing that. Unfortunately, he's morphed Lurkers, which are not ideal against Reavers, and he's got the Sunken Colony in his main to try to defend that. A lot of Reavers out for Nony, actually, 3 Reavers, nothing more coming out of the Robotics, so we're going to have to wait to see how he's following this up. As you said, second Stargate, and Templar Archives also complete now.
Dark Templar being produced. Looks like he's going to go for some sort of big DT drop. I know that Nony's a big fan of this. And all those Reavers that he was initially using for harassment forces the composition to be a lot of ground units. Looks like Mondragon's going to try to move in here. Ooh, I do not like this at all. Looks like he's just going to try to inch inch Nony's units back just a little bit. But coming back, that Reaver composition early on skews all those units to being like mainly like Hydralisks, and you kind of crunch your Overlords up into one spot. So these sorts of Dark Templar follow-throughs can be super strong, and those Reavers you were originally harassing with, you come back and you expand, and oh, he almost loses the shuttle. He's at 10 hit points. That is not the way you want to harass.
But we can see the Corsairs coming in, finishing off the Mutas. Now the Hydra's coming in. All the DT is out. Where are the Overlords? Overlords being recalled now and getting taken out by the Corsairs with +1. They're going to get taken out very quickly. Looks like one sneaks through the Dark Templar with one kill between the two of them, going to be taken out. So Mondragon reacting and defending very well.
And we see this beautiful counterplay by Nony. He's instead taking that shuttle straight up north with that Reaver to do a drop up here. Needs to be super careful with that shuttle because it only has 10 life. And just to take out 3 drones, that's a really nice shot right there. And again, stopping that mining time for just a little bit, which honestly is worth quite a bit more than those initial drone kills. Just being able to stop that expansion mining for 20-30 seconds is so much money. And this Reaver up here denying the chance of taking a 4th base. This game is going Nony's way as long as he keeps that shuttle alive.
Right, I'm curious to see what the follow-up is. Looks like he's got an observer out, so he's going to try to break out a little bit. A lot of lurkers up here not being burrowed. Mondragon needs to take care of that, as he's got to be careful with this shuttle at the top right. It's just kind of sitting there. Storm going off at the natural, taking out a Hydra or two. Looks like a bit of blood on the ground there. And Nony doing well to keep his entire army alive. He's now got Dragoon range researching. He's not doing much with these 2 Stargates. I feel like it wasn't really worth the investment. He could have gotten this many Corsairs from a single Stargate, but not that bad of a misstep here. We see Mondragon moving up to Hive. He's got, I feel like he should have a bit of a bigger army. I'm getting a little nervous for him.
Yeah, only 78 food and in the red. Those Corsairs really doing a lot of damage to those Overlords, keeping Mondragon's supply so low so he has to spend so much money on everything that's not units. Only just now does he look poised to take that top right expansion, and just this incredibly creative build by Nony. Look, getting a 2nd shuttle, going to be doing some sort of giganto push with Corsairs, Dragoons, Zealots, Templar, and Reavers, and only just now is taking that top left expansion. I would have thought that he'd be taking that much earlier.
Yeah, and Mondragon, his build has gotten really pushed back. He doesn't have Hive, so Nony looks poised to attack, and he's going to get out there before Defilers, which is a really key point. And we can see Mondragon dealing with this at his natural by sunkening that up, putting down a lot of lurkers. And this is the kind of thing that Reavers just eat up for dinner. I mean, this is a Reaver's dream to walk into a bunch of static defense like this. That's what they're built for. So Mondragon kind of painting himself into the corner again. Like, yes, this is a strong build on this map, but not against Nony's build. And we can see at 9 o'clock a few Zerglings going to scout that expansion, but a huge army from Nony going in, taking those out, and Nony probably just going to have to sit tight until he, or excuse me, Mondragon probably going to have to sit tight until he gets his Hive tech rolling.
Yeah, I'm really worried here for Nony. He needs to send a probe up to that top left. I mean, even though he just waltzed his army up there and just demolished those Zerglings there. I mean, it's pretty huge. Oh, a storm going off, pushing this army back. But yeah, without any probes there to build up cannons, that expansion is going to remain so vulnerable. And we saw how vulnerable Expos can be, even with a lot of defense, in Game 3 on Neo Tornado. The way that Mondragon was able to just rush in there and break it. And so here's a probe finally being sent over there to that left. And this big push coming from Nony. Over here we have 3 Reavers just demolishing, just steamrolling all these lurkers.
This is going to be so hard to deal with for Mondragon without Plague. He's running into a storm, eating a huge storm. Flank comes, majority of it on Nony's own Zealots, but that's not a big deal. Those are just there to take hits anyway. Reaver's just working on this hatchery, going to move in probably afterwards, take out the sunken colonies and the lurkers. And so hard for Mondragon, I mean, what can he do with only Hydras at his disposal and Plague not researched yet? We can see Consume just now coming out for the Defiler Mount. There's almost nothing really that beats this army. You just need a lot of stuff. And Mondragon doesn't have the economy to support that. Nony taking a few hits here. It looks like Mondragon is poised to take out the 9 o'clock. Not much there to defend. Mondragon with a few lurkers and Zerglings getting ready to move in to the 9 o'clock, and that's going to go down very easily. Meanwhile, at the top right, Nony not pushing in, just getting ready. Probably not having the multitasker as he's trying to deal with top left. Oh, and yeah, that Nexus is going to get taken down very quickly now.
Yeah, and see, that's the reason why you need to keep that probe alive as long as possible. You want to make sure you have maximum defense there. But even so, oh, Storm Drop at the top left, taking out a whole bunch of drones. And I mean, look at this food differential, 160 food for Nony, and about 90 right now. It was about 80 when the attack started. That really shows how that funky creative harassment that we saw Nony do early on, the effects of it are just, you know, being manifest right now. That is just so much damage that harassment does, and these Reavers are slowly walking their way in, and Mondragon just needs to build up a big enough army. Scourge coming in, and
oh god!
Mondragon going down for sure.
Yeah, Mondragon needed to manually control those. If you move the Scourge until they intersect with the portrait and then attack, they have a much higher success rate and not glitch out like they like to do, like we saw there. So Mondragon trying to get an army together. At some point, he's got to try to crush this attack that's going on at the top right of his main. I really don't think he can do it, but it's his only chance. Getting his army poised up now. He's got a smaller army than it looks like he should have. Looks like Nony's pushing in now, moving in, using the Corsairs to drop fire from the support colony. Now driving straight in. Mondragon has to go now. This is the only time. He can't afford to lose his top right base. It looks like he's just going to give it up, moving towards the 9 o'clock, and that is probably going to be the game, unless he can break this 9 o'clock, which looks like he can. Not much there for Nony, and not that big of an army left at his main. Mondragon poising up to move into 9 o'clock. Nony now seeing it storming as Mondragon's getting set up. Another big storm on the ramp, takes out a lot of units, and Nony looks like he's pushed back Mondragon. Mondragon trying to drive up the ramp with lurkers. That's very difficult, but the swarm going on is going to help facilitate that. Storm going off on those lurkers is going to take out a lot of units there, and I really think like Mondragon's days are numbered. Nony just needs to get a few melee units in here to defend, as he can bring in his huge army from top right and just crush Mondragon's natural.
Yeah, we have Mondragon sitting around 80 food. Nony, though, is up at 170, almost 100 food more than his opponent right now. Unless some sort of perfect plagues and perfect swarms go down, I see no way that Mondragon's going to be able to pull this out. If he can figure out some defense for this huge army, I'll be really impressed. Mondragon doing the right thing, expanding at the bottom, expanding away from where all those units at the top right are, killing everything off, and only just now does Nony finally get that third base. And if we look at his natural and in his main, he was hurting for money. It came in at just the right time.
Right, and despite Nony having a huge army, if he did not get that base, I have played games where it's kind of like Protoss has this massive, unbeatable army, but you just whittle it down, and then finally he's broke. And that could have been a situation Nony found himself in had he not secured that 9 o'clock. But Mondragon is really just up against it. Nony moving in, bit of a plague going off on a few Dragoons and a High Templar there.
Plague.
Yeah, but I'm glad to see Mondragon finally has Plague out. That's what he needs to defeat this Protoss ball, as there's not many Archons in there, and Plague is going to be devastating.
Yeah, man, that Protoss Death Ball is just so tough to spot, especially with all those Corsairs. I mean, the Corsairs punish you constantly for any little mistake. I mean, if you're at the front and you're trying to defend a Zerg, and then 12 Corsairs come in and just snipe an Overlord, like, look at this, moving up here, Mondragon having a beautiful defense down here, but these Corsairs can easily just pop in, take out some Overlords, and it just forces Zerg to be constantly scared. He can't get all that scouting advantage that he wants to, and man, this is a display of confidence by Mondragon, making drones out of all his hatcheries, just making sure he can saturate this bottom expansion, seeing if there's going to be some way he can whittle down this Protoss army as the game progresses.
Right, I'm not sure what his go-forward plan is here. I don't see any research coming out of the Hive. No drop, no Defiler research. I guess he's finished that, but I don't think like he can afford Ultralisk. I saw an Ultra on the field, and he's getting Ultralisk armor. Really can't afford that. So I really don't know what he's going to do in this position. As you said, the drone's moving into 6 o'clock. Nony just camped outside of this bridge, bringing in some Reavers. Mondragon looks like he's poised to counter, but there's a lot of units at this 9 o'clock, and a Templar or two up there, a few cannons, and now the Reavers being dropped at Mondragon's natural, and the siege has commenced. It's going to be extremely difficult. Big play going off on the Reavers. That's step one to dealing with this death blob, but this is going to be, I don't know, like the struggle of Mondragon's life. Moving in, going to take out one Reaver, second Reaver going down, and he's just up against it here.
I mean, if there's some way he can take out those Reavers, he can just use Swarms and Lurkers to delay. I mean, again, Mondragon needs to answer that little puzzle of how can I put any pressure back on my opponent at all. Mondragon just has to sit in his base. Nony has free reign to do really whatever he wants. That top left expansion is next on the menu for Nony. And look at this little paltry force coming over here from Mondragon. He's going to try to do a little magic with it, but look at Nony having super focus right now, rushing in with his huge army, and then here are the Reavers just... Oh, I don't quite get those scarab shots off, but I mean, look at this army by Nony. Nony does not want to lose any control of the middle. He wants to demonstrate what it feels like to be under total lockdown. Look at that, like 10 control groups of units just chasing after 8 Zerglings and a Hydra, man. Nony police on the hunt tonight.
One fault that I can give to Nony is that he's only sitting at 1 upgrades, 1 armor, 1 attack. At this point in the game, I'd expect to see him pushing +3. Looks like +2 just starting as I said that, so really behind in upgrades, not that big a deal. Wow, a lot of ultras from Mondragon. Surprised if we take a look at his natural, I'm surprised he was able to churn that many ultras out. But yeah, I don't know. I keep saying I don't know how he's going to get back in the game, but his situation's not improving as the game goes on.
Yeah, I mean, he was just able to make so many ultras because he just kept getting more and more and more and more gas in the midst of that huge assault at the top. So, I mean, pretty cool transition we're seeing from Mondragon. At the top left, we see some Zerglings trying to do a little bit of action, but Nony really determined to kill any unit that's not in Mondragon's space. Anything in the middle of the map, taking it out, and the Ultras engaging a little bit of a confrontation, and Nony has to back up, scared that Ultra count. Oh, Zealots and Templar getting caught off guard. He doesn't kill either of them. Oh, man. And it looks like Mondragon's going to try some desperation counterattack. Might just try to be moving in here to take out those Reavers. But those Ultras are having a hard time fitting in that little tiny entrance that's right at the front. Another Swarm going down, but he's getting caught off guard right now. The Reavers are being brought, going to do tons of damage. The Swarm's helping out quite a bit, but I almost think that Nony wants this. This is so much money for Mondragon that's just basically 3 units. And meanwhile, Nony's expanding to the top left. That's almost done. Some Zerglings. Oh, God, Mondragon's good. Look, in the midst of this big Ultra attack at the front, Ultraling swinging around the top, and it's going to take out this expansion. That is why Mondragon loves going Ultraless in this scenario. He wants to be able to have that mobility, to be able to swing all over the map at once. And, Nony really shouldn't have lost that top left expansion. He didn't even need to commit so many of his units to defending his main.
Right, one thing Mondragon has accomplished with this attack, despite losing a large portion of his army, is he's cut out all these cannons and opened the gap a little bit. So this kind of gives him the chance to run in 12, 24 Zerglings later in the game and just cut up those gateways, get in, take out pylons, be really annoying. And that's the kind of way you can get back into a game, just kind of grinding your opponent down. You see Nony adding 4 Dark Templar. I like that. I like mixing in the Dark Templar, especially when you have so many +1 Corsairs. Looks like Nony's turning his attention now to 6 o'clock. There's a Defiler up there, some Lurkers, a Spore, and this is really annoying as Protoss. I mean, Nony's sitting at 170 food, but he can't find a way to crack into Mondragon's defense, which is basically 6 supplies keeping him back. Along with 2 sunken colonies and a Spore, so really frustrating. And looks like Nony's answer is to take the center of the map.
I love this choice to take the center. I mean, that's where your army is going to be. It's the most easily defendable expansion on the map right now. Take it by all means. A lot of people just seem to think that taking center expansion is like a big insult, to do. Yep. But in this situation, it is absolutely 100% the correct decision. I mean, this is why Nony is just such a brilliant player. Mondragon trying to break that front. having a lot of trouble with that Lurker Swarm army, and Mondragon doing an admirable job of holding on. I thought that he was doomed after that top right went down,
Right.
but I mean, Mondragon really showing why he is always had this incredible Zergrish Protoss record. He just has this amazing ability to stick in there. And right now, Nony's getting a little bit low on the cash. I mean, he just has these 8 mineral patches at the left running.
And Mondragon actually has an army outside of the contain. Bring in now, looks like he wants to do some sort of flank. Big storms going off, Reaver Scarabs going off, storms coming up in the back door. I think Mondragon is actually going to be able to break through. No, big storms to deny that. Wow, ridiculous storms taking everything out. Nony in retreat now, just getting off more and more storms, and the cost is going to be a lot of overlords to Mondragon, and he cannot afford to replace his army much more after that. He's basically got no economy. His natural is mined out. All he's got is 6 o'clock. Nony's going to secure the center, and I really like how Nony's not pushing the pace. He knows he's got an advantage. He's hunting down any stray units. Mondragon running out with a few Zerglings surrounding, taking out the Archons. That's really nice, actually. A really nice play by him.
Yeah, and we see Mondragon is trying to push into the middle. He sees the expansion. We see 5 observers for Nony. Jesus, he wants to be able to detect everything like 15 times over. Not even 30 Arbiters could hide some from those observers, man. And beautiful swarm coming up. Archons there doing some damage. Needs to pull them back, and this is just too many units right now for Nony. Look at these 3 Weavers coming up. This is just a fearsome army right now. It's Zealots, Archons, Templar, Corsairs, Reavers. It's going to be impossible to break, cutting back almost completely on that Dragoon count to have this pretty much anti-Ultra, anti-Ling style army.
Right, and at this point in the game, this is where I like to switch back to Lurker Defiler, because that really deals with the Zealot Archon army really well. The unfortunate part for Mondragon is that Nony's decided to mix in Reavers, and that really spells doom for any sort of Lurker army, especially if you're trying to attack with Lurkers. Attacking with Lurkers into Reavers, never a good idea. So Nony looking like he's in a very good position. He scouted the top right base that Mondragon is trying to take, and Mondragon moving out with kind of a small renegade force, just running up, trying to get outside of any containment. Nony looks a little hesitant, but not a bad idea. He wants to be sure before he commits to attacking in any one position. Mondragon also trying to take the 3 o'clock base. Nony is equal to the task, going to run in and take that out right now.
The top right went down to a Dark Templar. The right expansion is going to get takeout. Okay, it's going to get takeout by a whole bunch of Zealot Archon. I'll stick with what I said. And look at a big push coming right now from Mondragon at the north side. But those Reavers underneath the Nexus are going to do so much damage. Big storm, getting that Hydralisk in the back, getting these Lurkers and these Zerglings. All the units have to file on one side or the other of the Nexus, and there's going to be virtually no way that Mondragon can hope to take out this center expansion. All that Mondragon has is this Southern Expo, and he is currently at 55 food to almost max army. One last ditch attempt by this Ultra Ling, and at this point in the game, Nony can sit back and relax. He can run in for the final push. He is free to do whatever he pleases.
Right, looks like this is going to be it. Nony decided he's at the point he can just move in. He's going to run into the natural. Mondragon having a pretty nice block here, but I mean, look at this ball of Archons rolling in. Only a single Ultra trying to hold them back. 2 sunken colonies. I mean, even if Nony loses his entire army here, he can just reinforce with Zealots or whatever he wants. Nothing is going to take out these Archons.
Yeah, I mean, it's just complete and total annihilation right now for Mondragon. I'm blown away he was able to hang in the game for as long as he did, but still, it's not going to be enough. Nony looks like he is going to take this game out. Nony building a whole bunch of things in the center of the map, and good game. You see that Nony is now tied with Mondragon 2-2 after Nony was down 0-2 in the first set. Just amazing play. I mean, such a creative opening by by Nony. I mean, felt like I was watching Ben Franklin play, you know, because as you know, Ben Franklin, anytime he had a problem, he would just invent something to solve that problem, and that's like what we saw, right? That we saw the Ben Franklin Protoss, this ingenious play with a solid, stable mechanics.
I thought you were alluding Ben Franklin was A on Icy Cup, but this is kind of an interesting dynamic of best of 7, because if someone went down 2 games in best of 5, it's a different feeling knowing you only have
Yeah,
one
yeah.
game to give up, whereas in best of 7 you have 2 games to give up, and now we can see the result. We're right back where we started at 2 apiece.
Yeah, and we're going to be going on in the 5th game to Outsider, which a lot of times I would have a whole bunch to say about this map, about the psychology, but I mean, right now, they're tied 2-2. We know there's going to be 2 more games. It's a little bit of a funky map, but I think that both players, actually I should say it's an extremely funky map, but both players I think are going to be in a nice calm mindset. I mean, Nony's saying, okay, cool, I'm back in my game, I'm feeling in my comfort zone again, I'm tied 2-2. Mondragon probably kicking himself a little bit for losing those last 2 games, but it's still only 2-2. He knows that he has a chance to come right back again and win it. It's almost like we're back in a best of 3 again, and I think both players, given their experience, are going to have a lot of comfort there.
Right. Not gonna lie, Dave, I've got nothing to add, and I'm getting a little selfish here. I just want to jump right into this game, so let's see it. Let's see Game 5 on Outsider.